Katsuki.
And I'm Anya. And this is
What's Your Takeaway?
What's Your Takeaway is an exploration of ideas, insights, and inspiration. It is your food for thought.
And here, we peel the onion and unravel the beauty and importance of introspection. Hi, gang.
Hello. Welcome back.
Welcome back. This is episode 3.
Oh my God. Yay.
I'm excited.
And we have a very special guest today.
We do.
Do you want to do the honors of introducing our special guest, Ms. Katsuki?
Let's have her introduce herself.
Afternoon. Hi, I'm Kae.
Of course you are, Kay.
Yeah. I wear many hats. We were just talking about
Exactly,
the hats
yes.
we wear, and I like thinking of the many-headed hydra. Sometimes I have to be several hats all at once, and then sometimes they have to be put to sleep, and then another several hats all at once. So I am actually currently the manager for Holistic Coalition of the Willing, and I do practically a lot of the operations work, the design work, and all of that. In my free time, I like pursuing personal interests, still within the realm of art and design. We never really sort of stray too far from it.
Of course.
But yeah, somehow it feeds back to what I do in the day job. So.
Do you want to expand on that? What are those interests that feeds your energy, fuel you back?
Oh, here's the frustration. I'm interested in so many things. I'm fortunately a Gemini, so I am interested in many things, but you don't really have, I don't have all of the time in the world. There's only literally 24 hours in a day. So I've had to sort of accept that I had to let go of a couple of hobbies that I guess just remain that. I mean, the way I looked at it before was if I liked something, I had to do it. But then it's part of growing up. I think you realize that even if you can't, do the thing, you can participate in supporting the thing by supporting those others who are actively doing it. So yeah, but currently, for example, I like doodling. I like drawing.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily make it my main sort of income or profession or whatever, but it's something that helps me unwind, helps me sort of express things and all of that. Yeah, it's a hobby.
Does it quiet your mind as well? Because when I do doodle a lot if there's so much going on. Does it do that?
It's not quite quiet, but it adds a rhythm, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just if you think of the back of an electronics room, for example, you had cables going on, all of that, but then you group them together, right? And then you put cable organizers and they sort of make sense.
Right.
It feels that way.
Oh.
Yeah, the thought in mind was when you doodle, it kind of creates a soundtrack in the way you live your day to day. Creates that
In a way.
rhythm.
Yeah.
Like a
But
pattern.
like a pattern. I love that you're pursuing a lot of curiosities because that's what we are all about here in this safe space. But in the topic of introspection, Kay, we usually start our conversation by understanding what's the origin story of your practice of introspection? How did this start in your childhood?
Okay. So, earliest I could remember me doing anything creative was drawing on the walls. I obviously got punished for that. I spent afternoons with soap and water trying to wipe it off while the kids in the neighborhood are playing outside. But my parents were very strict and they said, you put that on the wall, you take it off the wall.
Right.
Okay. That got me creative into sort of, how do I say? Pwede mong bisaya?
Of course.
Yeah.
Kanang suhulo na kong mga kanang helpers na mo ba kanang you gotta help me clean the I'm allergic to soap and water. And I'd make up stories and in a way I guess that's creative but,
right.
but what I mean. I was just a troublemaker, I guess. But that's what I recall me doing creative things, just drawing on the wall. And from there I think I'd like to go towards the angle that my source of creativity, at least, or my triggers, what makes me feel creative, funnily enough, is lack. because
Lack.
yes, we we moved a lot when I was younger. So I didn't actually. I was born in Cebu, but I did not start schooling in Cebu. We're in Manila, and I was with kids who had a lot of stuff. They had really cool toys. They had all the cool things. The boys had cool things and the girls had cool things, and I really kind of didn't have a lot of cool things. And in a way, I couldn't because we were moving, and we couldn't have a lot of stuff. Kay daghag danunon diba niya,
Yeah.
mga wagtang lang and all of that. But I said that I didn't want to be sad because I didn't have these things. So what I do is I draw them at home. So I remember distinctly there was a boy in my class who had Ninja Turtle cards. Okay? And they were like really cool holographic
Right.
Ninja Turtle cards, right? And JoJo cards and all of that. And I'm like, well, where'd he get that? And he's like, oh, my uncle's from the States. And I'm like, you're a kid. And then when you say States, it's like this far off planet in
Right.
your mind, and you don't
Yeah.
really sort of
You can't grasp it.
conceive
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
exactly right. And then I'm like, I don't know anyone from the States. I don't think I can get there. So, but can I see that? So I'd get home, I look at it, like I'd really stare, like I'd try to burn it into my retinas, and then I'd get home, find whatever scrap paper I could find, and try to draw it from memory, and maybe it didn't, or it definitely did not look anything like the official art, but it made me glad that
Yeah.
I somehow had agency over this thing that I lacked.
Yeah.
So did it feel like it replaced? I mean, it filled that.
Yeah,
lack?
it seems as if you made all these characters or all these toys that you did not have come to life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think thinking about it in a different angle, it felt like it wasn't exactly the thing itself that I wanted. Because in my pursuit of trying to get that thing, I did something better with
That's true.
myself
Actually,
over that
yep.
thing.
So the process of actually you learned from that. Yeah.
So yeah, and things back then weren't as accessible now. I mean, you go to Lazada,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
search
true.
whatever. And
We
then you
didn't
can
have
just-
Lazada,
diba?
yeah.
And then eBay was very young back then.
Yeah.
Right? Amazon only sold books back in the
Right.
day. And I'm like, but I like all of these anime was also not very accessible back then,
Yeah.
right? I was like, but I like that look, right? I want to have merch of that, but we didn't have merch of that. So I tried to catch it on local TV as much as I could. And I remember I had a notebook and a pen, and I draw the costumes of the characters on
Yeah.
TV. I draw it. And then when the show was over, I try to make sense of what I drew, and I drew it in my own way and dress up other characters in it. So in a way, it gave me a bit of, I know another word to say about power
Yeah.
over that thing that I couldn't have.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah,
Because
it is. Yeah.
now I, in my own way, have it. And I can also dress anyone,
Yeah.
in it. So
It
Yeah.
seems to me as if like unknowingly in your desire to achieve or be able to kind of have ownership of these images that you were drawn to, you were able to practice introspection in a manner that also steered your imagination
Yeah.
and creativity. Like from the way you were sharing it, it seems as if like they're all kind of interrelated, like they all go together. And is that how you are usually? Like when you're reflecting about certain things, you tend to be doodling? Is it part of your practice?
in a way, like it doesn't have to be an actual doodle. Sometimes I'm making mental notes. Like I don't know how it. Sometimes if I'm in a situation, I'm sort of zoomed out of it, and then I sort of realize certain patterns.
Right.
Like, oh, what she said actually relates to this whole thing. There's
Yeah.
some weird dramatic irony happening in it because the space reflects what she said. Something like that. Like,
Like zooming out and putting things.
yeah, yeah.
Connecting
Yeah.
the dots.
Connecting the dots.
Yes,
somehow.
yes, something
Yeah.
like that. I like that.
Wow. Yeah. That's powerful. It feels as if, that instance or that memory from your childhood is still something that you carry on until now. Am I correct to say that?
Yes, and I guess
You're not doodling on walls anymore.
No, I'm not anymore. I doodle on a safer place.
No more soap and water
No
to
more
ask
soap and
your
Yeah, but I guess it's interesting that you start off with that because it made me really, like right now, I'm reflecting on it. And I guess one of the things I realized, maturing as a creative is to really own what you are. I mean, we just talked about human design and all of that. And it's like sometimes there's a certain shame in what we are, what we tend to do because it doesn't conform to what society thinks. And what I realized was that I'm a greedy person. Maybe greedy is the wrong word to say, but that's why I realized I want to do so many things. I want so many things.
Yeah.
You can't get all of them. So I guess I'll make them.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll look around for people who are making them
Yeah.
and sort of encourage them, their making of it by supporting them. I just had a conversation with Mike over lunch. Pwede na gamay politics.
Go ahead. Put it.
Okay. So we were talking about the list of brands to boycott because of the
war.
The war, yeah.
Okay.
right? The
Yes.
occupation in Gaza. And I was just like, and there are a couple of those that I would have liked to get 12, there's a sale and all of that.
Yes.
And you're buying stuff for people also. Okay, it's Christmas, right?
Right,
But then
yeah.
you have to avoid these things
Yeah.
because you don't want to support genocide. And then I said, what this made me do was instead look at local makers and actually buy from them. And
Yeah.
I mean, because these big brands are convenient. They're
Right.
on Lazada. They're
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
It's easy to purchase something.
Exactly,
Exactly, right? You just click a button and that's it. There's no interaction.
Yeah.
But, you had to take the long way around and, sort of engage these makers on Instagram, for example, and say,
Yeah.
hi, can I see your stuff?
Yeah.
Right.
Do you take Gcash and
Right.
all of that? And you form these connections and you end up actually supporting a lot of local creatives that I would normally not have looked at because it's not convenient.
Right.
So, I guess that's what going back, no? Na parang, if there's so many things I want to do, but then in a way, we lack it. But that lack should not sort of stop us.
Yeah.
It should pose as a design problem and therefore
Right.
say, how can I own this lack?
Yeah.
I really like that because, in our culture, we have this scarcity mindset. And this is like the
exact opposite of it,
Exactly, like
yeah.
the antidote of that.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
okay, kani. I had a phase back when I was studying in Japan of J-rock music. Oh my God, I got
Okay.
into thing. Yeah, so there's a neighborhood near my university that has buskers in the train station, and they'd make really cool music. So ako po, I was like, oh dang, I wanna try, right? Because sometimes I listen to a melody and I can find it like on a piano or whatever, or an instrument basically, but I never had formal training. I was like, suway ko. So I got myself a genuine Fender Squier guitar
Cool.
from the Kichijoji House of Rock, and I'm like, I'm gonna try this, yeah. But then I realized it's sort of needed an entire facet of me, like a different K.
Yeah.
Like I had not the K that I know now, but like
Okay.
somebody different. I had to give birth to that sort
Okay.
of K.
Oh.
And I realized, you know what? If I pursue this, I might have to let go of this
K.
other thing, right?
Yeah.
But I also like music and the whole indie scene.
Yeah.
There's the whole Japan indie scene thing. And I'm like, saon man eh? So, pagbalik na ako dire, brought my guitar, and then I'm like, she's just there. And she holds a lot of memories for me because she's what I would have wanted to get into, but I obviously also did not want to let go of who I was in
Right.
order to pursue the who I would have been. So, and I said, but it's not fair because she's just there. My guitar, I mean.
Yeah.
And then I said, kibaw ka, for her to actually help with the scene and, to help her realize her own potential and help someone else.
liver.
Na, diba?
Yeah.
Niko, ako ning ihatag og kanang kuan,
Somebody will
kanang
benefit.
mentor nga musician nga kanang
Wow.
Who did you give it
maker
to?
ba? Oh, na suning ko nga Cats, can you take care of her? Babe?
There you go.
Can you take care of her? Babe?
She's right there outside.
No,
And she's been doing things here.
And now she's living her purpose.
Yes.
Oh, so in a way, na-feel akong lack nga kanang naka-contribute ko anang
Right.
That's,
anang what I
that's
lack.
super profound.
Right, I
Kay.
like it. Yeah. I didn't know that you saw it that way. I just received the guitar and I'm like, thanks, Kae. I'm gonna make use of this and make sure this helps.
And just so you know, she's paid it forward because when we went up to one of our partner indigenous communities in Bukidnon,
Right.
and they were wanting to play instruments and celebrate their indigenous music, and Katsuki also donated a guitar.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
did.
been passed
Wala,
on.
nalimot akong balhin.
I know. That's why, like, the whole time you were sharing that conversation and how you, I guess, made such a huge paradigm shift as to how we perceive greed. No, I love that word now because it's really you've transformed lack into something that's personally abundant for you.
Right.
Something that kanang allows you to celebrate the different identities in you. But I want to go back to that because there's a huge misconception when people say you're a jack of all trades but a master of none. I don't know about you, but I grew up with a lot of I guess the elder generation not wanting us to be in that box. That you know so many things, and I think our generation has that liberty of having so many choices, so many options, and different avenues to pursue curiosities. What do you feel about that? What do you feel about? Do you feel you are a jack of all trades and a master of none, and how does that sit in with you?
That's a really interesting question because that touched a lot on my designer insecurity. For the longest time, my family's in the furniture business, so I sort of like came back and did the furniture business thing. And for the longest time, I refused to call myself a designer because I wasn't doing object making. I wasn't out there with the CAD boys doing CAD things. I wasn't out there with the master welders doing master welder things. Although I did go to the department and learned it, so I could incorporate it in some of my designs. Back then, I didn't think of them as designs. I thought of, because I'm not the principal designer man, si Tita Debbie is.
Right.
So in my mind, I'm just the assistant, So I wasn't designing. That was how I looked at it. And then I said, because I was also managing the communications and the branding of Debbie Palau at the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm just doing what needs to be done. I'm not exactly designing. So
Right.
I'm the jack of all trades, master of none sort of
Yeah.
thing. But then I had a good conversation with a designer, an older designer, si Joseph Crisanto. He's a Cebuano pero Manila-based na siya na designer karon. We had a really interesting conversation because we met in one of the furniture fairs sa Milan, and I told him about it, and then and then he's the type of designer who designs for companies on contract, but not as an in-house. Right? And he didn't have his own facility to make his own designs. Right? So I told him about it, and I'm like, so I guess this is what I am. And he's like, that saying, jack of all trades, master of none, comes from a very guild perspective. So it's a very medieval, I guess, perspective.
And also, it's not the whole thing, actually. There's a continuation to that actually says something else.
It is. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember that
Huge
quote.
context.
It's a huge context
around that statement.
But that's
true.
and that's the origin ko no of it.
Uh-huh.
Nga siya nga, but these days there are so many jobs that blur the line.
Yeah.
And
Precisely.
in a management capacity, you actually need to be all of these
That's
things.
really true. I agree with that.
100%.
I
I,
mean-
would hire somebody who's a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Kay at least kay bao sila ba unsay gipang buhat in each department, so to speak. And he said you don't have to feel bad about that. I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
just because you didn't spend 10 years of your life specializing in one specific thing.
Exactly,
Right? Because you're not doing only that one specific thing, man good. So I said, sige, I guess. And then later on, it was when I realized nga, design is not just object making. It's also place making.
Yes.
It's also image making. And my favorite is systems making.
Yeah, so I was gonna
Exactly.
say that
Yeah.
I would definitely put you in the category of designer because you design systems and processes, and that
Yeah.
also entail a lot of
Exactly.
I
creativity.
did not know that was design.
Yeah.
I just thought it was thing.
You're a
you know,
very
like,
even just from your childhood story, I think you were born with that gift from the get go that you see lack as an opportunity to design solutions. You know? Yeah.
kanang how do it's better in Bisaya nga, di ko magpapildi sa ako ang suya. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
yeah.
like that.
I have a I'm still okay. The reason why I haven't got it tattooed on me yet because I can't decide where I want to put it. But when I do, I'm going to get the words of my great grand uncle tattooed on me. Ang iya pa kanang kasi the story was he was walking home drunk. This is like in the 1800s. Ingon ana way mga suga ba. And then he was walking home drunk and then suddenly naipalwa sa lubing and nahug bitaw it just falls. And he's startled. He thinks it's kanang demon or whatever. So, but he was too drunk to run. So instead of flight, he fights. He faces. He said, "Kung yawa ka, yawa pud ko."
I love that.
And I love that. I love that statement. I
What
tell
a badass.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's like a family thing
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah.
They laugh at it, but then
I really love it.
Definitely
Diba?
something embroidery worthy or tattoo
Yeah.
worthy
Tattoo,
for
for sure.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Diba? So, Tito, that's you. But I'm like, I really want that on me because, when I feel scared actually, or I feel like I'm hostage to a very strong emotion that I feel is going to take me
Yes.
under, I remember, kung yawa ka, yawa pud ko.
Yeah. I'm glad that you
You're
said
a bigger
strong
person. I don't know
emotion.
how you translate that. It loses its essence.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
It's not
that's
the
true.
same in Bisaya.
Sometimes I say, kung yawa ka, mas yawa pag yun ko. Ana.
Yeah. And I'm glad that she said something about emotion. So it's not an outside entity. So sometimes
Yeah.
your emotion can be your demon, right?
No,
it could be you.
So
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
So like, if you are yawa, I'm yawa too. Come on, let's go.
Oh, no.
I love having this conversation with you because I've always kind of I guess seen you as like a schoolmate, and then someone who's also been very active in the publication back in
Yes,
school.
yes.
I know I've always known you as a creative, but I love how these identities are evolving within you, and I see how consciously you kind of elevate yourself with just that phrase, if yawa ka, yawa pod ko. Ana. But I guess right now, in the many facets of Kae, what's the strong identity you hold true now?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Several at one time.
Yeah, and
But
we all carry
Yeah.
different identities.
You're neurodivergent, multi-passionate.
I love
Let's go.
that.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let it all come out.
Oh yeah, I guess you could say that I'm a systems designer. And here it is. Here's one. Personally, this is just how I see myself as also a translator.
I love
Right?
that.
Not just from words and all of that, but from medium. Like for example, how do I translate a certain form of inspiration to a physical object making,
Right.
a design? How do I translate this the situation of this relationship
Yeah.
into something healthier? So it's I look at it visually as a liminal space. And I like living in that liminal space. I like arbitering between that liminal
Yeah.
space because in that liminal space, many things are possible. You can make it worse,
Yes.
but you can definitely make it better as well. So,
I'm just curious when you do that, because it seems to me as if that's always been your practice. It's your medium. Translation is your medium. From a lack to a solution, to an abundant solution. From what you said, from an object translating it to something that's more accessible. What happens in between that? Like, how's the process of translation? Like, what languages come in that allow you to translate it in a manner that you're happy about? That, okay, this is it. This is accessible, or this is what I need.
I guess very basically it's what stops the hurt.
Wow.
Wow. Boom.
Boom.
I mean,
Can you?
Yeah, like you start with the pain point. What stops the hurt?
I
Damn.
mean, the pain is I cannot get that cool card
Right.
from the kid in the class.
Right.
So I'm gonna
Right.
steal it. I can't steal it.
Yeah.
I'm a lousy thief. And if they catch me, I probably do more than wash walls. So there's that pain there.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
go home and I'm like, I do not have that card. And I guess another kid would like roll around and be angry about it. I'm angry about it. How come he gets it? I
Yeah.
can't
Right.
have it,
The
right?
injustice.
Yeah.
Why does he have uncles in the US who give him stuff? I want uncles in the
Yeah, right,
US
right.
who give
Yeah.
me more stuff. But that just doesn't happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so how do I stop that hurt? How do I stop that
Wow.
hurt?
I love that.
I love that. Yeah.
How do I stop that hurt? I'll try to make it my own. I'll
Mm-hmm.
try to make my own. So I guess it comes from there. And if we go to another example with the guitar, I'm like, man, I will always feel lack, a certain pain, ache, longing for something I've never been or I've never, tried. Like the beauty of creating your first song, the beauty of, making lyrics fit a tune. Like I can only imagine that, but I could never get into that because I'm not willing to sacrifice what I already am to that. And that's my choice, right?
Right. Yeah.
So how do I stop the hurt? I want to be part of that, like
Yeah.
scene, that milieu, but not in the way that I initially wanted, but definitely in some way. Well, then I can give this thing, which is basically doing me no good, just making me, rot with the memories that I
Yeah.
don't even have.
Right.
You know what I mean? And just give it to someone who actually needs it more than I.
But that's so admirable. Like the
Yeah.
whole time you were describing that, what comes to mind is you're able to actually stop the hurt or stop the pain because you're also not attached to it.
Yeah.
Like the process of you being able to let go of that guitar and accepting the fact that you're not going to be a songwriter or a singer or whatever, but you can still be part of that dream by gifting that guitar to someone else who could make that guitar live its purpose is you being detached to it.
Right.
Lisod ang detachment. I carried
course, yeah.
her for a long time and kanang I'm able to say it now because
Right.
I have seen, I have let go, but I carried it for a long time and I carry these things for a long time. I guess it's not so much a masochistic thing as a fear that letting go will hurt more than the ache I'm currently feeling.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't know that.
Yeah.
But it's always the fear of the unknown, I guess. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? The
Yeah.
devil you know is better than the devil you don't.
Yeah.
Balik na po to si Yawa.
That's a perfect title for this episode.
Pero Yawa lagi good ko.
Yeah.
But despite that, be the bigger Yawa. So, ngayon ko, sige, devil, I don't know. Mas dako kong Yawa ni mo. Ihatag nila kog someone
Yeah.
who can make music out of this. What is gonna do? Just be in my room and, make me feel sakag in another lifetime. No? Pero,
Right.
dili man na inaning lifetime.
Yeah.
Give that to someone who is living that life now.
Yeah.
Diba?
It's just impressive and amazing how you're able to let go of those unlived lives, you know.
Lisod, uy,
Yeah.
kay mag-imagine ko, I still have these little scenarios in my mind. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And it's fun on some days. It's fun to think about where it. And I guess the good thing about it is they stay that way because they never happened. They remain happy. Imaginations of what could have been,
Yeah.
right? But
Yes.
as we all know, in real life, daghag sakit nga apil ana. Na.
I love that story.
Yeah, I love the metaphors we have been using.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
Because it's been super powerful.
Yeah.
I'm just also curious, as I guess you mentioned earlier, it's not an easy path to actually practice detachment. And sometimes it still surfaces then and now, and you still, I guess, relish in the imagination of the shoulda, woulda, coulda. there. But how do you allow yourself to like move forward? Like you started with doodling and having that wall as your blank canvas be your medium for introspection, and then you transitioned to carrying on that value and that practice to how you are now, like you as a an adult in your profession, in your practice of design, being able to translate things. And I love that. I love how you call yourself a translator. How do you nurture that? Like, what is your practice now in terms of reflecting?
I like examining where the insecurity points. Okay, very quickly in the industry that I work in, there's a huge insecurity that we are not as industrial as other countries, and you feel it with the designers and all of that. And but I feel like it's just a matter of perspective. And it's just a matter of like leaning into that. So, okay, we are not an industrial sort of industry where furniture and textile is concerned, but we are very people-centric, right? And we have all of these stories, and we have all of these lives woven into, gipanday rin sa atong furniture, sa atong mga kuan. Current stories are in a way currency as well, and I don't mean currency in terms of mabarter anymore, but like that can put value into the end product.
Right.
So
I agree,
now it's not only a matter of me designing the most or finding the most efficient way to create a chair. It's now me conveying to my client that this chair is made by a community.
Right.
No?
Kind of like you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Precisely. Exactly.
Like, it's
that.
really the stories that matter too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe it's not about volume versus efficiency versus cost that you should be looking at, right? It should be, how can you talk about being Filipino, being a woman, being a Cebuano, being a designer, diba? In the product that you make.
I love it. I feel
Yeah.
like that anchors back to identities, right? Identities that are interwoven in these stories that you want to surface and represent. Yeah, that's amazing. I guess in like your space right now, you mentioned earlier that there's still a lot of curiosities that you want to pursue. Is there anything in 2024 that kind of is on top of your list?
Okay, so being in that liminal space, I've learned, you talked about, you asked about how do you let go, right? It goes, and for me, it goes back to science. Ngayon sila, energy is never lost, it's only transformed. So, holding on to something is holding on to so much energy. So
Okay, damn.
you gotta be okay to let it go and trust that it goes back to you.
If it's meant for you, it will come back to you.
It will never pass you by if it's meant for you.
Or mo transform siya in a
Yeah,
way.
transform in a
Yeah.
different way.
It transforms itself and goes back to you in a form that will help you pod.
Right.
Pero you have to trust it. You have to trust nga mutuyok ra siya nimo. Lisod man gud ang trust. Good.
That's true. I was just gonna say it's so hard to trust. Like, I let you go. Are you ever gonna come back? Or,
Na.
You know, I won't let you go.
There's that fear again.
Yeah, that's their fear
But
again,
that's
yeah.
a powerful mindset.
No.
For you to actually give yourself that space, because as you said, if you're holding on to all that energy, it's going to be very heavy for you. You're not gonna have space.
No.
So you let it go to give yourself space for more energy.
So in 2024, there's a bit of chaos involved in that, Manggod. Like trust and faith is a form of chaos. Okay, you can never really predict what comes back to you.
Yes.
Yes. It will come back. Pero unsa may itsura sa it will come back. Diba?
Yeah.
So in 2024, I guess it's to really trust in chaos. I mean, we are living in a world of chaos. There's hardly any order.
That's true.
Pero basig we can make something out of this, no? Like,
so, yeah.
you know, trust where there are footing falls, trust in each other. And it's hard for me kay kanang introvert pud ba ako.
Yeah.
Pero that's the struggle, isn't it? That's if this is the whole thing, zooming out, if this is a video game, that's your what you need to accomplish. Otherwise, magtuyok ra ka na ang stage.
Yes.
Diba?
Yes.
So, for 2024, it's more like trust in chaos and believe that if you like something, if you like to, if you like to pursue something, whatever, there are many ways to approach it.
Yeah.
So, kana.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm learning so much.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm learning so much from this
Yeah.
conversation
Yeah.
also. I guess in the topic of learning so much, gang, do you have any takeaway for today?
Yes, I do. A
Okay,
lot, but
a lot.
you know,
Let's
yeah.
ask Kae first.
Yeah.
I guess to wrap things up. What has been your biggest takeaway so far? Not just today, but I guess
In general?
in your years of existence. What would be like a takeaway that is worth sharing?
Really embrace who you are. Like all of you. Even the parts that they say are negative. As long as you're not hurting people, okay? That's my main, that's where you draw the line. Keep it to yourself. But like maybe what they say is negative is not a lack, but space to be filled. So it's more of explore those parts of yourself and be okay with it.
Yeah.
Trust that,
love that.
the world is
I love
round and mobalik ra yun na nimo. So, you just have to let go sometimes and mobalik ra yun na nimo. Okay. I mean, they say nga, the earth is billions of years old, but it never gained weight. Because everything went back to the planet.
Right.
It's a literal thing. The weight of the earth
Is
did
the
not
same.
change. It's the same.
Yeah.
Sa kadaghan natong mga naagi ang mga dynasties ug uban pa ingon na kay namalik ra gyud tanan.
Because it regenerates.
Yeah.
Same with you. You're a
Yeah.
planet. You're a planet.
Yeah.
You let something go.
Wow.
It's gonna come back to you.
Yeah.
Pero dili lang in the way you let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lahi siya.
Dili lang in the way you wanted it. Yeah. Yeah.
That you thought you wanted
yeah.
it.
Yeah, you have, I guess, that going back to trusting that chaos.
Yes.
Because
I
that
love
chaos is the process and you don't know how it's going to come back to you. It can come back to you a better version. It can come back to you a worse version, meaning there's still something you have to learn
You
from
have to,
that. Yeah, but I really love how you defined lack all throughout this conversation.
Me too. Yeah.
The vision in mind when you talk about lack being these beautiful spaces that you can fill in a way that will, I guess, in your pursuit of whatever curiosities would be the manner of filling up these spaces. It brings me to like a botanical garden. I don't know why, but that's, how these are probably empty pots of land in an entire garden, right? And you look at it, you come in a garden and it's just empty spaces. There's a lot of lack in there. And it's really up to you, up to your imagination, up to your creativity, up to your, process of introspection to decide and design what you will put there that will make sense for the other and what will make sense for the other. It could be a veggie, urban veggie, whatever, patch. And then it could be like a row of roses, whatever,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But it's kind of up to you how you're able to build that ecosystem for it to work for you until you're able to address that pain.
It's really
That's
design.
It really is design.
It's really
It is
design.
design. And it's just very refreshing for me, that perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
I love it.
So thank you, Kay.
Any takeaway today?
Oh yeah, my takeaway. Oh, it's the only thing that pops up. Everything is great, by the way. It's when the pain stops, because that's where I resonate. Like,
Yeah.
because right now, like I'm addicted to pain. Like I'm used to it
Masochist in you.
in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Libra. So it's like trying to balance letting go and holding on. So just the same exact thing. Balance letting go and holding on. So and I'm in the middle of it. That's
the
my
best
vision.
part.
I'm in the middle of it, and I should allow letting go, and the pain of that I will take. I should allow holding on, and the pain of that I will take.
You're in the
Nice.
in between.
Yeah.
So when the pain stops, then you are balanced or something.
Yes.
Love that.
My takeaway today is the power of how we're able to actually challenge our minds to have a different perspective to things. I think
Yeah.
that's really the gift that you brought today.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I never really looked at lack the way you painted the picture.
Yeah.
And I love how at a very young age, in your curiosity to want to, I guess, achieve something, that is a value that was planted on you as a seed already. For me, I think there's always room for us to challenge the way we think about things. That there are a lot of belief systems that we grew up with that are negative. Like we discussed so many of those negative belief systems today, and you embraced it in a manner that really empowered you, that made you a badass yawa.
Yawa, di ba?
Yeah. And I think that's that speaks so much about creativity, but also resilience. So
Yeah.
Resilience.
Yeah.
No, I've
Yeah.
never thought of it that way, but yeah,
It
thank
is,
you.
yeah. So-
okay, in the end, what else have you got but what you got? And
Yeah.
I want so many things. That's what it is. And sa
Yeah.
naman mo man
And that's human nature, right?
That's also Gemini, dude.
I want all the things.
Yeah.
Oh. So, sa mani na to? Oh, let's do something about this. Go to Birthday Tagwant Day. Butter.
Yeah.
Wow, thank
Yeah.
you.
That's amazing.
Beautiful, Kae. Thanks
Yeah,
so
thanks so
much.
much.
Thank you
Yes.
for
This is
letting
Ayaw kayo mumuda.
thanks for letting the conversation
Yes,
unravel.
these stories
Grabe.
are super powerful
Yeah.
and it could change people's lives. So thank you so
Thanks
much.
for sharing it to our community. Thanks for
Thank
being
you
here.
for
Thank you for being
bringing
here.
me here.
Thank you. This has been episode 3 of What's Your Takeaway?
See you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.